Welcome back to Hot Takes, boys. It's the MMA series I'm doing where y'all submit to me your controversial MMA and UFC hot takes, and we're gonna go over, do I agree or disagree? How hot of a take is it? How controversial? And where y'all are at on the spectrum, man. So thank you to everybody who submitted anything in. So just jumping into it with the first one we got, man, is Pascalump 400 saying that after seeing JDM's performance against Belal, he's got a good shot at beating Makhachev. Now, dude, I'm glad you said this because honestly, it's not too hot a take. I was thinking around the same thing, to be honest. Before JDM had the fight against Belal, I honestly thought, if JDM was going to get some flashy knockout or whatever, I don't think that it was going to be like a great outcome in terms of getting excited for a fight against Makhachev. I feel like we needed to see him go the 5 rounds. The fact that he beat the decision merchant of all decision merchants in Belal Muhammad, and the fact that he was able to survive the adversity that Belal was thrown on the feet. I know that Belal has no goddamn finishing ability, all right? And I understand that he's not a crazy striker, but he's a great pressure fighter with a really good wrestling base. And even then, he's got the crisp jab. He has a nice one too. Belal has kind of underrated boxing, and I think the fact that JDM didn't just get a flashy fucking knockout. Clearly he had the striking advantage. It was night and day, and clearly he had the power advantage. There's a lot more pop behind the shots with JDM, and I also just feel like the finishing ability is a lot higher with JDM. But for the fact for him to make it the 5 rounds, like I'm saying, against a guy like Belal who has so much 5-round experience, a lot fucking more than we want. And then with someone who has as good wrestling credentials that we've seen in MMA and shit like that, he has good cardio to maintain it. You know what I mean? It honestly, JDM worded it best. It kind of is a practice match, and it's kind of stylistically pretty similar to a Makhachev fight. And honestly, I think that Makhachev is kind of a level above Muhammad. But if JDM's gonna go out there and kind of whoop Muhammad like that, I don't want to say whoop him because it was, kind of relatively close in the second half of the fight. But I had it 49-46 JDM. And man, with how good the takedown defense looked, with how crisp he is on the feet, he has really good head movement. He's just so much power behind those shots. It honestly could give a lot of problems to Makhachev, dude. I would have thought that Makhachev, if JDM was gonna face him, that he would have been like some minus 800. Dude, a Makhachev, I'm telling you, he's going to be a favorite, but it shouldn't be anything crazy because JDM has a really good chance, not even of just knocking him out, because, Makhachev, yeah, he's hittable, and yeah, he has been knocked out once in his career, but honestly, Makhachev's chin is pretty good, and he's, fought a bunch of power punchers, so I feel like he'll be able to maybe hang with JDM's biggest shots. We don't know too much how Makhachev's going to look at 170, but dude, the lighter man's skill, baby, so maybe Makhachev, he's going to be as prepared for this as any fight of his life. This is his dream, he's been waiting for this shit forever. He's been kind of praying but not praying on the downfall of Belal to get this shot. So I think you're going to see the best version of Makhachev show up. Whether it's in Perth, whether it's in Abu Dhabi, whatever the fuck, okay? I think that it's going to be the best version of Makhachev, and that's honestly pretty concerning for JDM, who looks great against the fucking guy who has a similar style and strengths like Belal, but Makhachev, like I said earlier, he's that level above. So I do think that this fight, after seeing how good JDM looks against Belal, I'm agreeing with you that I think that it's much more of a competitive fight, and he really does have a good chance of beating Makhachev. I don't think it's that far-fetched. I genuinely think that JDM has the skill set now and all the Craig Jones work and all the specific training that I really do think that, dude, he is kind of developing into one of the most well-rounded fighters for welterweight and could be a real dangerous test and could beat Makhachev. So I do think that this maybe could technically be a hot take, but honestly, I agree with you, man. From what I'm seeing out of JDM, he did make all the improvements necessary to give it and bring it and get the fuck after it against a guy like Makhachev. So honestly, I'm a lot more hyped for the fight than I was if you asked me a month ago, you know what I mean? So shout out to JDM for all the improvements. It's gonna be a fucking banger, and I honestly don't know who's gonna win. So moving on up next now, man, to Otis Whaley saying that Dominick Reyes will win the belt. My brother, this is a hot take, okay? This is definitely a hot take because, listen, I like Reyes, having him be on this comeback and this resurgence. I love it. I'm eating this shit up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, okay? But at the end of the day, Dominick Reyes, he is the same guy that beat John Jones, all right? I had John Jones losing that fucking fight, and Dominick Reyes in general, I understand brutal knockout after knockout after knockout, and one of those was to Ryan Spann, so you kind of have to question, a bunch of things with that. You can't just ignore the losing streak in general, and the reason I bring that up is because, yes, the turnaround that he's on right now, and this rerun of Dominick Reyes, it's fantastic. And as a guy who got to see him, slamming down in the fucking cage after he knocked out Jacoby, and you could feel the goddamn passion for him having to almost be cut from the UFC. He went from almost beating John Jones to then almost being cut from the UFC just a couple of years later. So the fact that, man, just having such a crazy fall from grace, I'm so happy for the guy. And honestly, I don't rate the wins over Jacoby and Smith too crazy, but once he knocked out Krylov in the first round, I rate Krylov pretty solid. So, man, Reyes is a full-fledged contender right now. So don't get me wrong, I do think that Reyes can get back to the title picture. I do think that he can get a title shot in the next couple of years, maybe even into 2025, maybe even into 2026. Who the hell knows? But at the end of the day, to win the belt in the same division, where Poirier was holding the belt, DC was the champ, John Jones was the champ, and then it's like now we kind of have Big Ank, who is in his prime, like he's 32 or something like that, and he's only lost once to the mighty Paul Clegg, so I don't really see a lot of people beating Big Ank. And the one that I honestly do is Yuri Prochazka, and Yuri Prochazka is in the same situation. He's like 31 or 32. He's going to be around the division for a long time as well. And when you have these fucking titans like Big Ank and Prochazka as the guys that are kind of going to be holding down the title picture, in my opinion, for the next couple years, dude, it makes it so hard for Reyes to get through that brick wall, to even get a glimpse of the belt, to even get a taste of that motherfucker, all right? But at the end of the day, I do think it's possible for him to get back in the title picture. I think that there's honestly a lot of winnable matchups, especially now that he's beating Krylov. There's so many winnable matchups for him in the rankings, but we're going to have to see it, especially when it comes to that top 5 or 6 level, because it's kind of a different level when you get up there, even for light heavyweight standards. So Reyes, I'm rooting for him, but for him to win the belt, I mean, not just get a title shot, but winning the belt like you're saying, I'm sorry, my brother, that's a hot fucking take. I hope you believe it, all right, because I want to see it, dude. But moving on, up next now, man, to Ren722, saying that Buckley has the potential to knock out almost every welterweight. Now, off the top of my head, man, honestly, I'm going to kind of agree with you, but I also would say it's kind of a hot take as well, especially because Buckley's on a great win streak right now, but we can't deny that we still haven't seen him really face like a top 5 name yet. So I'm going to pull up the rankings real quick in front of me and see who the hell he can knock out here. But I mean, you have number 1 Sean Brady, who was TKO'd by Bilal Muhammad. Hey, I'm not even going to shoot a single takedown against JDM. I'm the best boxer in the UFC. I'm going to piece these guys up. And he went out there and he TKO'd Sean Brady. And I don't mean to be that guy that's just going to carry this over Sean Brady for the rest of his career, like the same way that like Neil Magny TKO'd Mike Mallet. Like, I'm not going to hang that over his career forever. I rate Bilal pretty highly, so I don't think it says anything about Brady's chin or anything like that. But you know that people are going to say that, all right? So I do think that Buckley for sure has the potential to beat Brady, and I can't ignore that if Bilal is TKOing you, Brady probably can as well, or Buckley probably can as well. So it is what it is. I can see Buckley KOing Brady. This might be a really hot take, all right? But trust me on this, I could see Buckley knocking out Rakhmonov. Leon Edwards, I mean, Leon is a really tough guy to finish. I mean, he's kind of getting to the point where people are starting to beat him, you know what I mean? But knocking him out is one thing. So maybe, I don't know, Leon's got a pretty solid chin, so maybe on that one. Usman, I mean, this is the real test, right? But I can honestly see Buckley knocking Usman out. I don't think it's going to be one of those like big one-shot KOs. I think it's going to be more so just like a overwhelming pressure he's laying on him, backing him up against the fence, really laying it on him, landing all the right shots, focusing more so on the combinations instead of just like, again, Buckley I don't think is some crazy one-shot knockout artist besides the one he had over fucking, it was like the knockout of the year in 2020, knockout of all time in 2020. The one over the PFL guy, Impa, someone, so whatever the fuck. You know what I'm talking about. Buckley has one of the nastiest knockouts of all time, so he does have the power, but you know what I mean. I mean, for him to knock out Bilal and JDM, Ian Gary, Gilbert Burns, Covington, most of these guys I could see it, man. I mean, and then Jeff Neal, Stephen Thompson, Michael Morales, Carlos Prates. Really, man, most of these guys I can see Joaquin Buckley knocking out. It's going to be really interesting to see how he does against Usman, but if he goes out there and fucking makes it a tough fight, competitive fight, or even knocks him out, dude, Buckley, I already rate him pretty highly, but even then, I'm going to keep fucking hyping up the power, keep hyping up the skill set. I'm telling you, Buckley's the dark horse of the division. So my friend Ren, this might be a fucking, I didn't mean to rhyme like that. This might be a fucking hot take here, okay? Because a lot of people might not see it, but honestly, I think I do. All right, I think that Buckley does have the potential. So to move on next year, man, to Merab G.O.A.T, saying that Pantoja versus Erceg was a robbery. Now listen, I definitely don't think this is going to be a hot take, especially you got to consider how people felt at the time. Everybody was riding that Erceg train. But at the end of the day, at the time too, like when I was watching the fight live, I had it 3-2 for Pantoja. It got a fuck ton of heat. Like when I was looking at all the comments, I was like, oh my god, like did I get this one wrong? But honestly, bro, so that's why I don't think this is necessarily a hot take. I feel like a lot of people, most people thought that Erceg won, but even while I was watching the fight live, I had it for Pantoja, and then I remember a couple months later rewatching the fight, and I still had it 3-2 for Pantoja, but I felt more so convinced. Like it was more so like now that everything was cleared out, and just because a bunch of people say it's a fucking robbery, or any fight's a robbery, it doesn't necessarily mean it is. Like look at Sahabi versus Aldo from this past weekend. There were so many people right after crying robbery, but at the end of the day, a lot of people also had it 2-1 for Sahabi, you know what I mean? So people kind of fucking throw out the term robbery left and right way too easy, but honestly, Pantoja versus Erceg, well, I personally had it for Pantoja. I won't say this is too hot to take. I mean, if you kind of go round by round here, like right out the gate, Pantoja kind of did what he does best. I mean, he kind of dragged it to the mouth, took backpack position that first round, and Erceg defended well, you know what I mean? But ultimately, the first round, in my opinion, was for Pantoja. The second round was kind of when Erceg started to kind of get more so in the fight. I think that Erceg was kind of landing the sharper shots. Like, Pantoja was still coming forward and kind of was trying to be the pressure fighter, but Erceg was landing clean jabs. He had nice counters, and he was kind of staying his back away from the fence. So second round, I gave it to Erceg, you know, and then the third round is kind of the one where it's kind of the toughest to call. That's kind of maybe the swing round. Erceg was looking really crisp on the feet. It wasn't anything super flashy, but it was effective. But then at the end of the day, Pantoja, you know, he did take his back. He did have, you know, some solid control time in that round, I believe. And, you know, he was mixing the grappling solid. So I feel like that round is a bit kind of the fucking swing round. And then you go into round 4, okay? That is Erceg's round. And the fact that he did it in championship rounds, that's fucking crazy, man. But Erceg definitely made it a kind of very close. Like, both guys should have been very concerned going into that 5th round, because in my opinion, you could have had it 2-2 or 3-1 for either, or whatever the fuck, I don't know. But Erceg, at the end of the day, man, I think that he took that 4th round. He was looking really sharp. It was a huge statement round for him. He was stuffing a lot of the takedowns. I'm pretty sure that that was the fucking round that he landed like the most strikes out of any. And then you get into the 5th round, and obviously, in my opinion, it could have been 2-2 going into it. And Pantoja just dogged down. And Erceg, he fucked up, man, because if Erceg just play to his strengths a little bit. Not that Erceg's bad on the ground, but if he just kept playing it out on the feet, really put on the pressure and really was just trying to land all the right shots and avoid getting the fight to the ground, not trying to fucking take it down there, man. I think this will really seal the deal for him. I think that Pantoja kind of took that 5th round, and I think the 5th round kind of determines it all, you know what I mean? I think it was kind of 2-2, so it is what it is. Again, I haven't watched the fight in a while, but I do have it 3-2 for Pantoja, but at the end of the day, I feel like most people would agree with you that it was a robbery, but it is what it is, man. So moving on, up next now, man, to Hamza Bors 1 saying that Max Holloway will beat Dustin Poirier in July and then win the belt. Now listen, I think the idea of Holloway becoming a champion one day isn't a super far-fetched idea. Like, he's fucking older than me by a decade, but the guy has been around for so long. He has so much experience. He came into the UFC like a goddamn infant, and now he's one of the goddamn best of all time, pound for pound. Holloway has so many more years left to go as well, and I think he's going to hang around the upper echelon of lightweight for the rest of his career. I don't really see Holloway being one of those guys that has some crazy fall off. Like, the dude is in his prime right now, and he's been around the UFC for fucking ever. So for Holloway to go out there and beat Poirier, I don't think that's anything too crazy. Like, Holloway is my early prediction as well, but to win the belt, for as good as I think Holloway is, and I know that he's going to keep improving, he has great takedown defense, which kind of helps him against these big mighty fucking wrestlers, and he's one of the best strikers in UFC history, and especially the best volume striker in UFC history. He's accurate as fuck. He's got great footwork, head movement. Holloway on the feet is something fucking spectacular. And now at lightweight too, you know, he's been kind of developing into the bulk, developing a little bit more pop behind the shots, 49-46 in G.O.A.T, and then fucking knocking him out. It's crazy. So Holloway, man, he has all the skills on the feet to beat a lot of the goddamn top lightweights, you know, and especially with that good takedown defense, very underrated takedown defense kind of built into the back pocket. Holloway's a dangerous matchup for a lot of guys. I think he'd beat a guy like Charles Oliveira. Shit, and I rate Oliveira pretty high, but at the end of the day, we can't ignore that Poirier is in the division, okay? Makhachev is in the division, and I think that as long as those two are in that right now, I don't think Holloway's going to beat any of them. Like, I think that but Poirier already fucking knocked him out. And then Holloway, just going against a guy like Makhachev, I think that Holloway definitely has the striking advantage, and I think that he has that fucking iron chin. But I think that Makhachev is just kind of a level above on the ground. It would be really pushing for it to, you know, that's his bread and butter. That's where he's most comfortable, especially going against a guy like Holloway. So, man, I think that Holloway one day can become the lightweight champion for sure. It would not surprise me, all right? And I would love to see it. And I do think that he'll beat Dustin. I agree with you. But for him to win the belt, my brother, I see that Max Holloway, I just realized Max Holloway's your profile picture, okay? I see you got a little investment here. But at the end of the day, I'm rooting for him. I hope he does win the belt. But as long as Makhachev and Poirier are in the division, I'm not sure enough if I'm seeing it. We're going to have to see how he does against Poirier and how he kind of does it a full-fledged move to lightweight, but I don't know, man. It's a hot take for sure, my guy, but at the end of the day, maybe I could see it because Holloway does have the longevity to where, give it a couple years, Makhachev and Poirier will probably both be retired by then. Dude, have you guys seen the movie Interstellar, where by the time they go up to space, like the kid's daughter has already become like older than him? I feel like that's what Holloway is, okay, in the lightweight division or just the UFC in general, because like he lost it to Poirier and will probably lose to Makhachev, but I feel like Holloway is just gonna be around the UFC by the time these two are gone. I genuinely feel like Poirier and Makhachev could be retired in the next 3 years and Holloway won't be, and he'll still be in his prime. It goes to show how crazy the longevity and the improvements are. So Holloway, I can see it getting done, but it will be a fucking task, especially with those two top dogs at the top of the division. So moving on up next now, man, to Lucas Parolin, saying that every top 5 contender of today would be a champion in the UFC 10 years ago with today's practices and knowledge. Now, I honestly think that I could totally see what you're saying, but I feel like there's a couple things here that definitely make this more so of a hot take, and I'm going to disagree with you a bit, because every top 5 contender I would not say could be the champion. You know what I mean? Maybe if we're getting down to like top 3, I understand it's kind of getting really fucking specific with it, but maybe that I could agree with you there. And also when you say 10 years ago today, maybe I would say like 15, you know, maybe it could be 10, you know, because I think the sport has improved so much since then, because who was champion 10 years ago at the time? I mean, we had like Robbie Lawler for welterweight. I mean, McGregor was riding like the double champ status. I mean, Demetrius Johnson was still sticking around for flyweight. A middleweight title picture, I had like the whole fucking thing with, you know, it went to Rocco and then it went to Wyman. But so it's just like, I honestly see where you're coming from, and I think that the sport has grown so much in terms of the depth and the skill level. So honestly, I could see like, I mean, let's take middleweight for example, okay? We have Nasruddin Imavov at 1, Strickland at 2, Chimaev at 3. I think 100% all 3 of those guys could be champions 10 years ago. Izzy at 4, Whitaker at 5. They were champions 10 years ago, okay? Let's go to another division here, all right? Let's go with bantamweight. We have O'Malley at 1, Yan at 2, Umar at 3, Sandhagen at 4, and Song Yadong at 5. See, that maybe like Song Yadong wouldn't be a champ, but honestly, I can see where you're coming from with the other 4, especially with how well-rounded a guy like Sandhagen's. But isn't it crazy? Sandhagen, on most days, I feel like would lose to an O'Malley or an Umar or a Merab, but it goes to show how deep, it honestly, it kind of helps your point, it goes to show how deep the talent is, because Sandhagen has improved his wrestling so much offensively and defensively, you know? And now that against Figueiredo, he has such improved ground and pound, you know what I mean? And he's finally back to getting the urgency to finish. It's kind of crazy, and he's still ranked number 4. So honestly, maybe I don't disagree with you now that I'm talking about it out loud, because, I mean, let's look at featherweight. I mean, Holloway's not number 1, but you have Diego Lopez, Yair Rodriguez, Malvzar Evloev, like, I could see those guys 10 years ago maybe being champs. So honestly, dude, okay, I went at first from kind of disagreeing with you, but now that I'm kind of talking about it all out here, maybe I'm agreeing with you, okay? I wouldn't say every top 5 contender, okay, and maybe it wouldn't exactly be like 10 years ago, maybe 10 to 15, but honestly, now that I'm kind of shooting the shit out loud, you might be right here, okay? Again, not every single contender. I don't think like a Song Yadong might have been specifically champ 10 years ago. I think that's still like a guy like TJ Dillashaw in his prime. People forget, man, but I still think he would have gotten the better of him, but still, I still think that these guys are all great. The talent's deep. I totally see what you're saying. And for the most part, I agree with you, you know? So moving on up next now, man, to the last one we got here. Coming from Meow Zoo saying, I should just call you Meow Zoo squared. Is it cubed? What's the one with like the 3? Dude, they gave me a college degree, and I don't even know the fucking difference between squared and cubed and all this bullshit. Buy a calculator, boys. Okay, moving on up next to Meow Zuzuzu, saying that I think O'Malley has a very good chance, this guy, to beat Merab in the rematch. People only remember the big movements of their first fight. It was 48-47, and O'Malley is coming back after surgery, and probably feels fresher after time off. Listen, I honestly agree with you, okay? I definitely would say it's a hot take for sure, but this is a hot take, my guy, that me and you are going to be sharing the same roof under, okay? Because I actually do think that O'Malley is going to be my early pick to beat Merab. I've actually been kind of standing my base on that one for the past couple weeks, and like I think that Merab, like I understand that he's, you know, done more in the meantime since he first fought Sean, and honestly both these guys could arguably have improved, but O'Malley, you're just the fact that, like you said, like it was a 48-47, like you said. I think that it's a bit more of a domination from Merab than people think. I think like now the new take is just that it was a razor close fight. I mean, Merab was the clear winner, okay? I get that it was a 48-47, but like Merab fucking won, you know what I mean? But again, these factors like the surgery and, you know, fresher from time off, I totally understand what you're saying, and honestly, I don't even think that's kind of my reasons for going with O'Malley. I see why you're mentioning it. I see why those are big factors, and I like, but those are the intangibles where where it's like, you don't think Merab is dealing with shit as well? I mean, did you see, what was it, like his shin or whatever the fuck? It was all fucked up going to the Umar fight, and even then it was like a super relatively quick turnaround right after beating Sean. So look at that against Merab. Like, Merab had all the reasons in the world to lose to a guy like Umar, you know, and Umar was a big favorite, but a lot of people were picking him, but it's just, you don't know with these random intangibles. I feel like you just gotta fucking look at the skill set, look at each guy showing up that night. And for sure, this stuff matters. Like, the fact that O'Malley had all this pressure and all, like, you know, he was pretty active and he was coming back, and sorry, that he didn't have the surgery yet. Like, these are important factors, and they definitely could be big reasons as to why he did lose to Merab in the first place. But I still think that more so, it doesn't have to, like, all these guys, most of these fighters are dealing with a lot of shit, you know, mentally, physically, whatever the fuck, going into the build-up, doing their training camps and all that shit. So it's like, I feel like Merab also has his fair share of shit. I think that the reason that O'Malley has a very good chance to beat Merab, I just think you're giving him 25 more minutes to work. I think that O'Malley has underrated takedown defense and defensive grappling. I know that against Merab, he fucking didn't do shit with it. You know what I mean? Merab kind of dog walked him on the ground, but I still think that O'Malley, maybe he can make those improvements in the meantime. I don't think it's going to be like JDM's time off and he's working with the Craig Jones and now all of a sudden he's coming back and he has massive improvements on the ground. I don't think it's going to be anything like that. Maybe he kind of has a bad outlook on how he's taking the grappling, but I still think that as long as he fucking shows up with slight improvements, some fucking improvements on the ground defensively, okay? So O'Malley doesn't have to shoot a damn takedown, but as long as his takedown defense or defensive grappling is slightly improved, I think that with the 25 more minutes you're giving him to work, I think that he's going to be more refreshed in there and just hunting for the finish. He knows that if he loses this one, even with Dana White privilege, he probably can't just get a shot again, or just even winning one and getting a shot right back. I think he kind of knows that he has to win this one, and I know that there's pressure on him, but it's different from like the Noche UFC pressure. Like, he's more so kind of saving the division. I fuck with Merab. I like Merab. Don't get me wrong. Hey, you know, Sean O'Malley, I appreciate the pay-per-view points. Let us be best friends and play Xbox after. Join my live party with Sterling. But O'Malley knows that, like, he is the clear superior striker here. And while Merab did look solid on the feet against Umar, I don't think that Umar is the striker that Sean is. Sean is a fucking sniper in there. He's precise, good footwork, good head movement, and I feel like he has a lot of pop behind his shots, good finishing ability, you know, and he had Merab pretty fucking hurt kind of in that 5th round, I believe, at 306. So, man, I could see O'Malley knocking him out. He is, in my opinion, the best striker in the division. No disrespect to Jan or the Marauder, Sandhagen. People forget, man, but you know what I'm saying, dude. So, O'Malley, I think that if the best version of O'Malley or something close to it, you know what I mean, shows up against Merab skill set wise, I do think that O'Malley has all the tools to honestly get it done. You know, he just can't let Merab dictate the pace and flow and pressure of the fight. If you let Merab be the pressure fighter, if he is, if you let him kind of implement his grappling to the level he does, he has very, very dominant wrestling, dude. If you let him do whatever the fuck he wants, he's gonna just fucking sit on you, man. Okay, I understand the fight against Umar was fun, and you know, we have Bilal Muhammad making exciting fights in 2025, so Merab can go out there and maybe try and make it a banger, man, and you know, stand and bang like Bilal did, but I don't think you're gonna want to do that against Sean. In general, I'm kind of just yapping about it, but Merab, I get why he's the favorite. He fucking fucked up Sean in the first fight, you know, and honestly, there's a lot of doubt and why I could see people not going with Sean O'Malley in the rematch. Like, we saw the fight when the first time, it was a dud of a fight, and it ended up the way it did, so I honestly get it. Merab is on cloud 9 right now, and he's still not 35 yet, so the 35-year-old curse hasn't even applied to him, you know what I mean? So, it's a hot take, man, but I'm gonna agree with you. I think that O'Malley has a very good chance of getting it done, and I see a round 3 or 4 knockout, to be honest with you. So, that is gonna be it here, man, for all of the hot takes. So I appreciate all y'all for sending shit in, man. Appreciate y'all a lot. And anybody who made it this far in the video, man, thank you so very much for giving me your time and attention. Let me know what you think in the comments below, dude. I really appreciate y'all for making this far in the video. And again, giving me your time, being here with me, man, and yapping about the fights, bro. So all the smoke here, man. Uncle Smoke, appreciate y'all a lot. Hope you guys have a good one watching the fights this weekend, and I will see you all next time.